Sometimes evil has to be fought in its own way by driving a wedge through it. A prime example is a Marvel Comics, The Punisher. Is roughly what the protagonist of the dystopian RPG Hellslave does when he strikes a deal with the devil. The writers of the Hellslave say they were inspired by artists and poets, most notably John Milton, who wrote the poem Paradise Lost. And it can be felt the game has a very dark, gothic atmosphere, and the comic panels which illustrate the storyline were drawn by Frank Miller or someone else with a similar style. Hellslave as a whole look like an interactive comic book. There is no confrontation between hell and heaven, there's only hell and nightmare, which brought mankind to the brink of extinction. Two times, two decisions, and our hero has purposely joined a cult of demon worshippers, made a deal with the devil, and began to worship superior demons. After gaining their power, he betrayed and escaped, starting to use it against them himself. Naturally, he periodically hears demonic laughter, and a voice reminded him that everything has to be paid for sooner or later. Such power doesn't come free, and then we rescue the demon hunter, who bluntly tells us that sooner or later they will probably have to fight each other. He is well aware of the deal we made and with whom. This of course gives the plot more momentum and intrigue. Although in principle it is clear from the start that flirting with demons is not going to end well. The main and side quests we get in the various surviving cities, where we are sent to clear the ruins, mines and dungeons, kill the leaders of cultists, rescue prisoners, look for important scrolls and so on. And returning to the city, you can not only get a reward, but also to restore health, mana in the tavern, purchase supplies, weapons and equipment. The smith also has a way to make equipment with recipes, which no one just put out. You will have to study the found entries in the codex yourself to understand what's there to combine with what. In the dungeon, we look at what's going on from about and move to character figure through the corridors. In the process, it is possible to stumble into a random battle. The game itself shows the likelihood of this happening and suggests using invisibility. However, you can only do it once, after winning a battle. We also stumble upon chests, sarcophagus, vases and other places where you can get loot, well, or run into another fight. Periodically, we solve riddles, hints where, what and what sequence to activate, often found in the records of codex, avoiding traps through QT, and very often looking for keys to lock doors, or rather look for those who carry them, and then they use the key from the cooling corpse. And the turn-based battles themselves take place in the first-person view in a format reminiscent of Wizardry and other classic dungeon crawler games. Only instead of moves, seconds are used here. There are techniques and skills that can be used to knock your enemies back on the timeline. But before plunging into the dark adventures, the first thing we do is choose which of the 6 higher demons to worship. The choices are Beelzebub, Leviathan, Lucifer, Satan, Baal and Asmodeus. In fact, this means choosing a class and fighting style. If you choose Beelzebub, the character will rely on close combat and accumulation of rage. Baal will turn him into an assassin analog with poisoned daggers, and with Leviathan, for example, will become a powerful sorcerer. But that doesn't mean one demon is one load of a lifetime. In the dungeon and catacombs where we go down on quest, we can always come across altars where often to pray to any of the aforementioned 6 and even other demons, including Memona and Monarch. This gives temporary bonuses, that they are only valid in the location. Sometimes you will have to defeat a non-Christian's minions first to get his power. Also, after some victories in a row, we are offered to choose and other benefits: regeneration of health, increase of damage in close combat, or accumulated experience, the possibility to start the battle with a certain amount of rage points, and so on. And in general, in Hellslave, we have a lot of options to get bonuses and adventures. Achieving new levels automatically increases health and gives a bonus to a class specification. But most importantly, it gives skills points separately for active and passive skills. There are also the momentum skill system, which is triggered every 20 seconds in combat and prompts you to choose something from the result list too. For example, instantly strike at all enemies, double your fury, or dodge your next attack. There are also modifiers that give various adventure. For example, they accumulate a bonus to rage, evasion, or defense as the protagonist's health decreases, allow you to repel some damage, increase the effectiveness of potions, and things like that. New modifiers and momentum skills are unlocked as the character is pumped up. Finally, during the battles, we collect points, which can be used to activate demonic spells with similar effects such as instant mana regeneration. And all of that is on top of a bunch of active skills. On top of that, many of the equipments has useful properties. For example, they can deal occasion poison damage or replenish health, mana, rage during or after combat. As a result, even on hard, in the first half of the game, you rarely meet decent resistance. As thought, our lone protagonist is usually attacked by 3 monsters at once, and sometimes they even call for reinforcement. Therefore, the system of crafting, I just did not pay attention, as well as the opportunity to buy equipment in town, because in any case you always find good equipment in the catacombs. That is, the money lay that weight. But in the last third of the campaign, the situation has changed. The game has become noticeably more difficult, especially hot in the demonic dimension, where we pass through portals in search of rare materials for crafting. In the first half of the passage, I don't need go there, because there was no urgent need. But in the second half, I began to think about it. In any case, you can always do the grind here and pump up before the scanning into the high-level dungeons. Monsters, after leaving the catacombs, are revived. The dungeon crawl format is a rather conservative thing, but the authors of Hellslave managed to look at it their own way. Therefore, despite the fact that the gameplay in this RPG cannot be called smooth and perfectly balanced, the game still leaves a good impression. It also attracts the story, dark atmosphere, and a gothic style, and you can get a decent challenge, but only in hard.